Hey, good morning. It's Mike Zschunke, Berkshire Hathaway Homes and Shipton Properties on our way to Paradise Valley this morning. We're going to talk about residential, we're going to talk about commercial, and we're going to talk about the economy. First of all, inventory. Multiple listing service is down 45 single-family detached homes. Maricopa County is down 40. In Scottsdale, we're down 16 single-family detached homes. There's 1,100 homes available for sale. Back to January 5th numbers, January 2024. Interesting. Phoenix Business Journal had an article yesterday. Housing supply skyrocketing. So I was kind of excited because I've got a lot of customers or clients looking for properties. But I dug into it a little bit deeper, and they were comparing May of 2023 to May of 2024. Of course, we are about 30% higher in inventory than then. But like I just said, I can show you the numbers. We are down. We've been down. We had one little blip up, but we've been down like the past 8 weeks in inventory. There's just not enough properties to buy out there. So Stephen Kim of Evercore, he came out the other day. He pointed out that we're dealing with 15 years of underbuilding in this whole country since 2008. And it's really just a function of supply and demand. Building has not kept up with the amount of people, the population. The millennials are now the number one population, number-wise. So, people can sell their house, but they have nowhere to go. It's if they're in a 2 or 3 or 4% mortgage, why would you if you didn't have to? So, a lot of people are relocating to Arizona. 28% are paying cash. TriPoint CEO, what is his name? I can't remember his name. He says the challenge for builders right now is finding property, finding land that is entitled or can be entitled. Entitled is like getting the zoning, getting ready for the subdivisions. The land is expensive, and it's just hard to find buildable properties. So that's got to change a little bit within state to state. So, like I said, housing's just a function of supply and demand, and until that inventory gets up, new home sales, new construction home sales, you got to pay attention now. It's not all new home is not like a brand new home to this person. New home is new construction. Those are down a little bit, but prices $426,000 average. It's an all-time high. So people are looking for properties to buy, and if they can afford it, these interest rates don't scare me, as I've said before. And, I get a lot of clients on the buy and sell side. Well, that property's not worth that. A property is worth what a ready, willing, and able buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to sell it for. So, Indian Bend, is that right? No? Okay. Okay, well, I don't know my way around Scottsdale.
Wait.
So anyway, it's what a ready, willing, and able...
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was my bad.
Value of a property is what a ready, willing, and able buyer is going to pay or is willing to pay, and a seller is willing to sell for. Last night we were negotiating an investor property. We were $25,000 apart. The family inherited this house, and they think it's worth $1 million, and it's not.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm working with this new investor. We've been talking for a long time, and finally, we're getting some activity, and it's building trust in that relationship. So I told her, I said, sit tight. I said, they'll come around. They have no other offers, $25,000 apart. So it's just interesting. Sellers think that their Zillow number is right, and it's not. So anyway, it'll be fun to go through. We've got 2 other deals we're working on. They should close in a week. We're just kind of babysitting them now. It's interesting. It's a weird market. I actually had the appraiser call me. We're on the sell side. The appraiser called me and asked me for comps. Now, I've always provided, and I call the appraisers on properties when we're on the sell side or the buy side, say, is there anything I can do to help? But it's really unusual for an appraiser in training to call me and ask me what I think the value is worth. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting, and the lender thought it was kind of odd too, but it is what it is, whatever we got to do to make the deal happen. So we've got some new laws coming up. There's a lot of misinformation out there about sellers paying buyer agent commission, and we haven't touched on it much because I don't think it's really going to change that much because it's how the commercial market has worked forever. I believe sellers are still going to offer a buyer's agent commission, but you cannot advertise that in the multiple listing service. I think I mentioned last week, we have 17 new documents. Buying and selling real estate is pretty easy. It's the documents and the legal issues, the negotiating part that things get hung up. And my perspective on this is your agent, your realtor, or your broker is not supposed to be part of the deal, not part of the contract. Their name's not on it. Now, with these new documents, there's a check mark on the Arizona purchase contract that says seller compensation addendum. Well, now all of a sudden the agents are getting involved. If your agent is not well versed in how to handle this, they're going to screw up your deal. So that's why we're going to this meeting now, talking with I think he's the president, or he's somebody big in the multiple listing service, and talk and see how we're going to figure out how this process is going to go. There's a lot of, Arizona's got 50,000 agents, and a lot of them are not full-time agents, and they're not going to be educated on it, and they're going to screw up your deal because they need to get paid. I wake up every day, I'm unemployed, so always looking for business, but it's interesting. It's a process. It's going to be really neat to see how this shakes up. But I believe sellers, like the commercial end, are always, not always. When we have a new client, a buyer or a seller, we sit down, we have a conversation, and we discuss that all up front. Actually, most of my deals, the buyers pay for my compensation, my time. But it's interesting. There's a lot of agents out there that would just look through the MLS and see what paid the highest commission. It's not real ethical if you ask me, but that's going to go away. So if you don't know how to have that conversation with your buyer and your seller and prove your value, it's going to clean up the industry a little bit, which isn't a bad thing. So interesting. Commercial. Remember, again, there's all types of asset types: office, industrial, multifamily. There's $260 billion in Class A office loans. That's the headlines you're going to see maturing within the next year or two. That has to be refinanced. You've got big players. You and I, we're not going to sway that market. Multifamily, a lot of people jumped into. And I've actually heard from 2 investment groups. A lot of what we do is find opportunities. We've got a few different investment groups and people who want to buy things. I know what their buy box is, and I'll call them and say, hey, well, this deal popped up. Do you want it? And more than once this week, I heard that they're sitting on their hands till the election. It's kind of a weird market. There are opportunities out there, but we don't know what's going to happen with this economy overall. Phoenix is a relatively new city. Comparatively, fifth in the nation? I don't know. It's a relatively new city, so there's still a lot of growth to be had. Phoenix commercial real estate across the board has the lowest vacancy rates. I think retail has 5%, below 5% vacancy, and they're building 2 million square feet. Industrial, lowest. Phoenix is #1 hottest industrial real estate in the country. Its location, it's a very business-friendly state. The tax benefits, that I-11 going from Mexico to Canada is going to go right up through Phoenix. So a lot of the transportation, a lot of the industry, a lot of businesses coming to Phoenix. Businesses come, they need employees. Population keeps growing. And like I said, Phoenix is a pretty young city when you put it into perspective. So actually there's 6 acres. A friend of ours, Frank Azami, we're going to see him in a minute at this meeting. 6 acres north Scottsdale, Cave Creek. It's $1 million an acre, but I don't think it's a bad deal because it's the last commercial property before you head into the Tonto Forest, and it's right up by Desert Mountain, which is a pretty fancy area. And I don't know, garages, storage, build a little village, retail. I think that's got a lot of potential. We've still got the 40 acres out in Tonopah, so I think make us an offer on that. That's eventually you're gonna have to sit on that to get your money, but eventually someone's gonna do very well with that property. It's tempting to pick up ourselves, but I can't pick up every good deal that we see. So Let's move on to the economy. The economy is super interesting. Everybody's talking about interest rates. This morning we had the PCE, personal consumption expenditures. It's pretty much as expected, a slight slowing. You know, the bond market took it as a good indication that the Fed's going to cut rates in September. Now, remember, that's already built into the market, and a Fed rate cut does not mean a mortgage rate cut by any means. And, you know, I worked right out of college. John Kuhn, he was a big trader that I supported. I did a lot. He was tough to work for, but he hardened me up a little bit, and a lot of it. And he was great learning experience. But he always said, you know, don't pay attention to the numbers, what's going on. Pay attention to the people. What is Joe Blow over there? What's he going to trade, and how are we going to, you know, what is his expectation and what is our expectation, and how can we make money off of that trade? And he did very well, actually. Real quick, I was 24, 25 years old. First time I ever saw it, he got an $8 million bonus, and we disappeared for 3 days. Yeah, so it kind of got me into the whole financial world and excitement. But he pointed out the financial markets are all based on expectations. So when you hear Fed rate cut and you think your mortgage is going to go down, not necessarily. It might, but you know, the market may have overestimated and rates actually might go up. So there's a lot of moving parts out there. You can't just pay attention. I had a mortgage guy email me the other day. The headline, and I'm sure you get a lot of whatever industry you're in, you get a lot of emails and news and things like that. His email headline was Fed to cut rates in September. I must have had, I don't know, something sparked me, so I gave him a call. And I said, can you please tell me why you think the Fed's going to cut rates? And he says, well, I don't really think that, but with the number of transactions, I wanted to give realtors out there a lot of hope. And we went back and forth. I said, don't you think that's irresponsible? Because the realtors aren't reading in beyond the headlines. They're just parroting what they hear and this and this. And, you know, I don't know if you're actually doing any good with that. So he says, yeah, you're right. And then he hung up on me. So, go ahead. A lot of bicyclists around this morning, so you got to watch out for them. So anyway, it's interesting. And, you know, these numbers coming out, it's an election year. Bureau of Employment Dynamics came out. And they think that these employment numbers are grossly overrated, almost double even. You know, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's some movement in there. They survey 700,000 companies, and they come out with the labor that everybody, the news picks up and everybody. Business Employment Dynamics report surveys 9.1 million companies, and they say the labor statistics are overrated. So you can't always believe the headlines, and you know what? Cutting down to the basics, it's all noise. It's all noise. If you have some cash, you want to buy something, buy it. If you want to sell something, sell something. What you can't change what you pay for the asset, but you can always move money around, change how it's financed. That's just part of life. I move money around all the time. So, you know, what you pay for the asset is what it is. So that part you can't change. If rates do happen to come down, prices are going to shoot up. It comes down to affordability for people. So anyway, we're here to provide solutions. It's been an interesting week with that. I feel like I'm teaching a class to a lot of these other agents every other day. So pick up the phone, have a conversation. Let's figure it out. I think people miss a lot in texting and emailing. And that's how we got an offer last night, 8 o'clock at night. No phone call, no text. I just happened to see it in my email at 4 o'clock this morning. I really don't know what to do about it. I don't know anything about it. So I'll have to call them and see what that's all about. But anyway, we'll let you know. We're going to do a video later this week on these new changes and laws, just specifically on that. I don't have time to talk about it right now, but thanks for watching. We're here to help. If you're an agent that has a question how to work through a deal, if you want to buy, sell, residential, land, commercial, anything, you know, just pick up the phone, call us, send us a message. You know, we're here to help. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.